Welcome back to In the Box. If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Instagram at OwnersBox and head over to OwnersBox.com to sign up and play weekly fantasy sports today. Also, download our app on the iOS and Google Play stores. Don't forget, scroll down to like, comment, and subscribe to let YouTube know this is content you actually want to see. Welcome back to another very special episode of In the Box. I'm your host, Sandy Plashkis, and today we got the usual casting crew, my guy Rocher, my guy Shendog, and we are diving in to NBA, baby. We are back. We are pumped up today for the two slated games we got. We got the Nets and the Warriors, the return of KD and Steph, and we got the Lakers and the Clippers. It's going to be a huge matchup there tonight, and I am pumped up. But before we dive into those games and give you our season preview, I just want to say that our Owners Box weekly fantasy format is here for the first year ever, and you should get to our platform and do a draft today. Our weekly format, man, I'm telling you, I've been in 3 or 4 drafts already, and I am hooked. Boys, have you? Can you say the same? How's your drafting going on over there? Have you done a few contests yet?
We've done a few contests, and I can tell that Jeremy's not going to be good at this. He doesn't really understand that you should take good players. He just takes like the shittiest ones that have like cool names.
That's false. That's completely false.
I feel like Jeremy, like you're more of an NFL guy. Like you have your Bills, like you're riding hot right now with your team, and you know you've done pretty well in your picks. You've kind of gotten cold lately, but are you an NBA guy? I think our listeners need to know. Like, what should they expect out of you this year?
I would say out of the 4 sports that NBA would be my worst. I'm not a big fantasy NBA guy, but with the weekly format, I can see myself actually becoming more of an NBA fantasy guy. But definitely the weakest of my 4 sports. I would say MLB is my strongest, and then NFL, then NHL, then NBA. But saying that, I do like playing NBA fantasy, especially in the weekly format. I tried it in the beta. It's something brand new. You don't need a season-long commitment, and it's, you can take hot guys, guys who are like not really relevant all season become relevant in the weekly format, which is something I really like.
And I think that's the coolest point you just pointed out, because it's cool because you don't have to, win the whole year. You're winning your week, right? And you can just like watch games. If you watch like one week and don't watch another, you can play for that week and draft players that are playing well as you watch, right? So I think that's cool. You're also able to draft on our platform any single day of the week throughout the season. And that contest will start on the day you draft and go 7 days. So there's no real tie down to how much you have to play or how little you have to play. You can be in as many leagues as you want. So as I said, I'm in 4 already. I got a crew lined up for a draft after this, so we're going to be getting it going. And you can do drafts from sizes of head-to-head, 1v1. You can do 4-person, you can do an 8-person, or you can do a 16-person. So we offer you all these different opportunities to get in these drafts. And if you don't want to play week 1, you can play week 2, week 3, all that good stuff. So I think that's kind of cool. The way we're doing that, it really changes the fantasy experience. Like you don't have to get your draft done before the season starts. You can pretty much draft anytime. And I think the flexibility of that is why users will really like our format. And then NBA, there's a lot of strategy that goes into managing
strategy's big, well, right? That's for sure.
So that's cool. Like with NFL, our users didn't really get a full experience of what Owners Box is really, just from a strategy perspective. So like, for example, each player plays 3 games a week or so. Some play 4, some play 2, but it's usually around 3. And in our format, you have 10 roster positions in basketball, 2 at each position. So 2 point guards, 2 shooting guards, so on and so forth. And you're allowed 6 games per week per position. So for example, if LeBron plays 4 games one week and I have, let's just say Paul George for 3 games, I have to bench either Paul George or LeBron for one of their games, so I hit my 6 games. So it really gives you the GM experience. I played in the beta, obviously, since it's my company, but I really found that NBA strategy is really, really big, and it gets you the win more often than not. So like I think looking at it from that perspective, I think users will really like the feel of becoming the GM in the weekly format. It's not, really long term, but you're making moves pretty much every day to get them get the win with your lineup. And obviously you're going to be able to make swaps if there's injuries, swaps if a player plays bad in the first couple of games of the week, all that cool stuff. So I think that kind of layered strategy element on top of our NBA game is going to be very cool. And I think users will really, really like that. So I think that's my perspective. Avery, did you ever play beta before we hired you?
No, I didn't play NBA beta. I didn't get on. I played the beta, but I wasn't on any of the NBA stuff.
Yeah, so
I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll get a draft going. I think we already have one going for a couple bucks here, but we'll get a bigger one going with the whole crew over at OwnersBox here. But I think, going into these drafts, let us know how you do, man. I think a lot of users are going to get the first time experience with our NBA format, and I think they'll really, really like it. So definitely drop a comment, hit us up on socials, let us know how your drafts are going, and send us your lineups, and we'll compare them to how we're doing. So get in those drafts, sign up today, claim your bonuses, all that good stuff, and let us know how it goes. On that note, let us dive into the two games we have tonight. So first, we have the Nets versus Warriors. That game starts at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We're going to be firing today. And I know, Avery, we were talking before the pod. You have some bets going tonight. I'm sure, Rocher, you do as well. But let's just talk narratives first. We got KD returning, and we got Steph also returning. Obviously, KD played for the Warriors, so there's going to be some tension there. How are you guys feeling about this game tonight overall?
I love this game. I love the Nets this year. But I think people forget about Steph. He's an unbelievable player. No Klay Thompson this year, which is tough. Kelly Oubre they have. I mean, I don't think they're as good. James Wiseman too. We'll see how he plays out. But I'm excited to watch this game. It's a really good opening night of games, which they usually have. But I am excited about this first one.
Yeah, I think this game will be good. I like the Warriors in this game strictly because the Nets are like a completely new team. Like, you just add KD and Kyrie to that lineup. Like, that's not the same team at all. And they have a new coach too, in Nash, who has never been is his first time coaching. So like, I feel like they're going to be a great team, but you got to think they're going to be rusty to start off. Like, they're not going to be like gelling together. I could see the Warriors, a very veteran team. Like, they should win this game. That's what I'm thinking.
I'm with you guys, and I was going to ask you who you thought won tonight's game, and I know Rocher and Avery both like the Warriors, and I also do like the Warriors tonight for a few
I don't think
reasons.
they'll win, though. I don't think they'll win.
No, they'll cover from a gambling perspective. They're going to cover. What's the line? 7 right
7.5.
7.5. Yeah, 7.5 around that range. I think the Warriors may just win tonight for the reason you just stated. I think Steve Nash coming in as his first game to play a Warriors team who's been there. They've won championships. They got the same coach. New guys. They added Kelly Oubre, who was huge last year. Like, he came on the scene. He's been pretty solid. Like, he's always been really athletic, but he had a great year last year. The Suns were kind of bummed to give him away, but they obviously got Chris and some other guys there now. But I think this Warriors team is slept on. I can't believe I'm saying that. Like, the Warriors are slept on. I don't think they're slept on. I just think people haven't seen them play in a while. Like, Steph's been gone all last year, so they kind of
they were dog shit last year,
and they were terrible. Exactly. So I think Steph's going to come out firing. From a fantasy perspective, I'm going to be drafting Steph in a lot of my leagues. Yeah. And you'll see him as we go through our point guard fantasy preview. We'll talk about him as well. But I think, Steph is the guy this year, and he's going to have an unreal year. And I do like the Warriors to take the win tonight. Really do. And I think KD ultimately will just go off. Like, I think he's been balling in the preseason. He looks healthy as ever. So I just think I like the over too. Like, I don't know. I'm not taking unders tonight. Let's just say that. Like,
I said that too, and it's tonight. 232 points is the over.
Holy.
And that's a lot. I still like the over though. I know there might be that first game rust though. You know what I mean? Like, are we? They played
preseason though, which
I know,
is good.
But I watched the Lakers in the preseason. Like, my guy Braun was bricking threes. Like, it wasn't great. He looked better in the later games of the preseason, but still, like, I think there will be that rust. That said, I still do like the over. I think there's going to be shooters all over the floor in that first game tonight. And I really do think it's going to be a shootout. But overall, let's just talk fantasy for a second between Steph and KD. Who do you think right now, preseason hot take, who has the better fantasy sports season all year overall between Steph and KD?
I'm going Kevin Durant, and I don't think it's that close. It's just he adds so much more. His ability to pass is better. Steph doesn't have Klay Thompson. That's I think a lot of his assists go to Klay. Klay's a catch and shoot guy, so that's where he gets a lot of his stuff. Not so many rebounds. I think the Nets do have a lot of big men, but I think KD is going to get a lot of the boards. He's going to have the ball. As much as Kyrie kind of hogs the ball, I think KD will have a better year.
Yeah, and I think like what Avery said, like Kyrie hogging the ball, I think that could affect KD's performance. For fantasy purposes, like I do think KD's like definitely best player in the league up there. Like I think he probably is the best player in the league. But for fantasy, I like Steph just because strictly he's the guy for this Warriors team with Klay out. Like he knows he's gonna have to step it up, and I like him for fantasy better than KD.
And I agree. I'm going to go with Rocher on this one. I think Steph has a better season. I know KD's the man. He's top 3 in the league, no question. But I really do think from a fantasy perspective, with Klay out, I know he's not going to get as many kick out assists to the corner for the threes there, but I know he's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to have a higher volume and all around the board. He does pass the ball pretty well, but again, there's going to be some talent around him still. So I do like Steph overall this season as a better fantasy performer, but it's going to be neck and neck. Like, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. KD, I mean, I just haven't seen KD, and that's no disrespect to KD. I just don't think, he's going to have as great of a season as everyone thinks, but he's going to have a good season. Like, his standards are set through the roof right now. Yeah. I've been reading Twitter, some articles about him. Everyone's bullish. Like, they're second or third favorites to win the Nets, the finals this year. And I think it's kind of, not finals or bust for them this year. I think they have to give them a year to play together. Like Kyrie and, KD didn't get the chance to play together last year. First year together, Kyrie's not the best locker room guy. We know that. Like, the incense burning. Did you guys see that on Twitter?
Yeah,
by the way, he walked
wild.
through Boston, the garden with the incense. Like, that's just Kyrie. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad teammate, but like, you're going to take some time to get, acclimated to playing with them. So therefore I like Steph overall this season, but we'll see. I think it's going to be neck and neck for sure. And then just before we move on to the Lakers-Clippers game, what is your favorite bet for this game tonight between the Nets and the Warriors?
Golden State plus 7.5.
Yeah, I'm sticking with that. I'd probably put money on the money line, to be honest. If I'm gonna bet,
Yeah, like,
I wouldn't bet the spread. I would just go money line.
I was thinking like an over and money line, Warriors money line parlay, but I don't know, man. I can't go into my first bet of the NBA season with some juicy parlay like that. It's just not going to happen. So I think I'm going to ride the spread. I'm going to take 7.5 and just see how it goes. Again, I just want to get my feet wet today. Like, I'm not trying to go in, like, I don't know what to expect really. It's a new team all across the board for the Nets, and the Warriors got a bunch of new guys. So I'm just kind of trying to dip my feet in the water here, but I am going to ride the Warriors plus 7.5. So I think we're all on board here. I'm a little worried, like, we might clip this up and then the Nets win by like 20 and then we're laughing. But at the end of the day,
gambling though.
That's gambling though. Exactly. And Avery can attest to that based off his previous record this week. But anyways, I think the Warriors do it tonight. So we'll see how that goes. For the Lakers and Clippers game now, this is a big one for me. I got my LA Bron shirt on right now, as you can see, repping hard this year. It feels like the Lakers just won the finals. So I'm getting a little taste of, victory tonight with the ring ceremony. And who else better to get the ring in front of than the Los Angeles Clippers? I mean, basically the minor league team of LA in basketball, as I like to call them until they prove me wrong. Get to watch LeBron, AD, and all the guys get their rings tonight. So I'm super excited for that matchup. I'll be glued to my couch watching the whole game. And I really think the Lakers take it to them tonight. But who do you guys think from a betting perspective? What do you guys like in this game?
So I gave out Lakers -3, but I forgot about the whole ring ceremony curse. It is just
oh God, don't even tell me, Avery. I already locked my bet in.
So did I. So I can't really be on me saying this is actually bad, like it's counterproductive. But I was reading articles, people saying that the ring ceremony is a classic letdown spot for any team that has it. And I think it being the Clippers makes it fucking worse for the Lakers because the Clippers aren't going to fucking enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The Raptors played like the Pacers last year or something like that, and that's not as big of a deal. But I think the inner city rivalry will play a part in that.
Yeah, I like the Clippers tonight. I like the Clippers. You got the ring ceremony. They're going to be firing. They hate the Lakers so much that I think they're going to be firing tonight. I mean, they added Ibaka to that lineup. They have a new coach. I mean, I think they come out and they beat them pretty well tonight. I think the Lakers are going to be sleeping.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there because this is going to be our social clip. There's no chance the Clippers beat the Lakers by more than 10 points tonight, Jer. So this is going to be on the record. The Lakers will not lose this game tonight. I am dying on this hill. They will not lose with the ring. I don't care what curse, Avery, you just mentioned. They're going to win. They're getting their rings, and they're going to show the Clippers who the B team in LA is, all right? So clip that up, and we'll see how it ends up. But I'm telling you, the Clippers will not win by more than 10 tonight.
I mean, that's not that hot of a take.
Yeah, more than 10. Did you say the
you
Clippers
said they're
will
going to blow them out. What'd you say?
Well, I just said I think they'll win pretty easily, but like you're acting like you're doing a hot take. If you're gonna take that bet, take the freaking say the Lakers are gonna win.
Take the alternate line.
Yeah.
No, that would make no sense. Don't do that.
I'm just saying. I was chirping Jer. I was just chirping Jer because he said
whatever. Yeah, fuck Jer.
Okay.
And it's not gonna happen. I'm just telling you, it's not gonna happen. But so Ave, what are you on? Did I ask you your bet tonight?
Yeah, I'm on the Lakers, even though I said that the curse. So Take the Lakers.
So take the Clippers,
It's
right?
It's a reverse strategy, though. You're
Yes,
trying to,
absolutely.
change your luck
Yeah.
up. So
True.
you're just gonna say that, and then hopefully you're right. You're wrong about what you said because you've
I
been
might
wrong
win every
lately,
bet
so.
today. I feel so good about my bets. It's actually incredible. How bad I've been, I feel way too good.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like as we were tweeting this morning, you can't win money sitting on the sidelines. Like that's
No.
just you got to just sack up. New day. I don't even remember what happened yesterday because I'm so focused on today's card that I'm ready to rock, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh, honestly.
Yeah. So overall, we're gonna keep it rolling tonight. I'm gonna be juiced up for these games. I think honestly, this is one of the better opening nights I can remember in the last few years of the NBA. But I really am excited. Voting for my Lake show, going hard for them tonight, and hopefully the Warriors can pull it out against the Nets, but we'll see. We'll update you guys. Hopefully our predictions were right tonight, but we'll let you guys know how we did. But let's move on. This is the juicy part of our segment. We really want to dive into this and help you guys out with your weekly drafts on OwnersBox. So let's dive into the fantasy rankings by position for this year. And Jared, so how this works is Jared, Ave, and I each picked our top 5 players at each position for the season, and we're going to dive into those right now. Jared, do you want to go ahead and start with your top 5 point guards this year?
Yeah, so point guards, at 1, I have Steph Curry. I think he's going to, coming back this year. I think he's going to have a great year, especially because he's the number 1 guy there, like I said before. So I think he's gonna lead all point guards this year. Second, I got Luca. I think Luca's just a beast. I'm just worried about injuries, to be honest, just because we're betting this based off total fantasy points for the year, and I think he could struggle with some injuries like he did last year. And third, kind of a surpriser, Trae Young, but actually not a surpriser because last year he did not battle any injuries and he was up there. He actually had more points than Luca overall. I think he even ups his game even more now. I think he has a great year with this young Atlanta team that's supposed to be pretty good this year. And then fourth, obviously, Damian Lillard, who's a fantasy monster. He was, I believe he's up there for like top 5 fantasy players last year for points wise. I have him at 4. I think he just stays he doesn't really go up or go down. He might go down a little, but I have him at 4. And then 5, obviously Russell Westbrook, strictly because I don't think he's a top 5 point guard in the league. This is strictly for fantasy purposes because he hogs the ball and shoots a shit ton. So that's my top 5.
Dave?
I'll take it over from here. Number 1, Damian Lillard. I'm worried about the Blazers this year. I don't think they progress at all, but I also don't think they decline. So I think we're going to get a very similar year from Damian Lillard, team on his back, doing his thing. Number 2, Steph Curry. I think MVP type campaign for Steph this year if he stays healthy. I think if he gets the Warriors to a 3-4 seed, it also helps his MVP campaign. I don't know if they can do that. I don't know how their team's going to be based on some of those young players coming in. But I think Steph's going to be really good this year. Number 3, a little bit of surprise, De'Aaron Fox. He's a guy that he's got the backpack on. He's carrying that franchise. He had a big year last year. I think he takes another step. I think he does well. The Kings aren't going to be great again. They're going to fight for the 9-10 spot. But I think De'Aaron Fox takes them there. Okay. Number 4, Luca Doncic. Luca Doncic should be the best fantasy player, but I agree with the injuries. I think he's going to get hurt. He's the best player on that team. He's going to get so many shares of the ball. I don't like rooting for injuries, but based on this, I don't think he's going to stay healthy all year. I hope he does. He's fucking great to watch, and I kind of like watching Dallas play. 5, Kyrie Irving, just a magician with the ball. He doesn't you don't get fantasy points off by missing shots, so that's good. Like, it's just all of them going in. Kyrie's going to have a fucking good season. I love the Nets this year for some reason, even though they're a young team. But that's my 5.
Great. And my top 5 for point guards this year, I'm going with number 1, my guy, Luca Doncic. I think this is a no-brainer. Obviously, you guys are right with the injuries. He's had a history of injuries. I know it's been a few years, but this guy, man, he's unbelievable. And he's a second favorite to win MVP this season. I think if he stays healthy, he will be not only the best point guard, he'll be one of the best fantasy performers in our whole system this year. So I'm taking Luca number 1. I agree with Ave on Steph. I'm Steph number 2. Steph and Luca are 1-2 for me. I am not a Warriors fan. I actually hate the Warriors, but you can't deny greatness. And I think Steph is going to have a huge bounce back year. I know it's a new cast, as you said, but I really do think his share of shots are going to go up without Clay. Like, he's going to be launching. And obviously, as you said, you don't get minus points for missed shots. So I'm taking Steph at number 2.
Yeah.
Dame Dollar's my number 3. Fantasy wise, this guy is, cream of the crop. He's going to launch shots. He's going to pass. He's going to do all that stuff. He's going to put up 50-point games regularly, throughout the season. It's going to be crazy. So I definitely like him this year. He will have a few down games. That's why I didn't put him above Luca or Steph, but I do like him at the number 3 spot. My number 4 is Kyrie. With KD addition this year, he's healthy. I think those two are going to be balling. I think the Nets are going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and ultimately the finals this year. So I'm riding with Kyrie in number 4 spot. But not really surprised for my number 5 here. I took Russell Westbrook, like you did, Jer, strictly for the fantasy performance he puts out. I don't like him as a top 5 point guard based off, team, win-loss or any of that kind of stuff. He's going to launch shots. He's going to hog the ball. But ultimately, he'll put up those triple doubles. He'll get rebounds. He'll get assists. He'll do all that. And I think he's on a revenge campaign this year. I think he has to prove. Yeah, he's going to prove a lot to a lot of people this year, and I think he's going to actually shoot the ball better than he has because it's been terrible. Like, last year was just awful, man. Like, people were laughing at this dude for missing layups, all this kind of stuff. So I do think Russell is going to have a huge year this year fantasy-wise, and I like him in my top 5 as my 5th. That is my top 5. Jer, can you take us through your shooting guards top 5, please?
Shooting guards. All right. So, number 1, I have Devin Booker over Harden. Obviously, these two are the best two out there by far, I would say. And then obviously I have James Harden as number 2. Number 3, I have Bradley Beal. I think he'll strive with Westbrook as his point guard. He'll play kind of that James Harden role that he played with the Rockets. So I can see him upping his game again. And then Donovan Mitchell at 4. I mean, the guy's a beast. He pretty much takes over this Utah Jazz team. And then Paul George at 5. I think he's being laughed at in the playoffs and all this stuff. I think Paul George comes back and has a really strong year this year. And yeah, that's my top 5.
All right. My 5. Number 1, Zach Levine, hot take. Fucking the Bulls aren't good, and Zach Levine's really good. I think he's going to get a ton of shares again, ton of offensive usage. I think he was very, very efficient last year. So I like Zach Levine in this spot he's just going to get a ton of points this year. He's going to be very, very good.
I actually can't believe I left Zach Levine out of my top 5. Now I'm looking at it. That guy was a menace in our system last year, if you remember. I had him in a couple leagues. I don't know about number 1, but top 5 definitely. I'm kind of bummed I left him out.
I can't have the same picks as you guys too. So we got to know for the people watching, I try and change it up a little bit, but these are all in my top 5 for sure. So there's no reason that. Number 2, Devin Booker. He's incredible. Dating Jenner's sisters out here, just having a good time. Devin Booker is very good, and I love the Suns this year. I think they're going to be really good with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to facilitate the ball, so Devin Booker's going to get better shots, better opportunities. Chris Paul's way better than fucking whoever they had, Ricky Rubio and shit last year. So I love Devin Booker. Number 3, James Harden. He should be number 1. Way too many distractions this year for me to take him number 1. He's still going to ball. He's going to drop fucking 40. He's going to go 40, 11, and 7 maybe every night. He's really good, but there's just so many distractions. Him and fucking Houston. I just don't trust that right now. Number 4, Jaylen Brown. Celtics. I love the Celtics this year. I hate saying it, but I really, really do like them. I have them in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Nets. Jaylen Brown took a big step up. He's a very, very good player. So I like him a lot with the Celtics. Number 5, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Good Canadian boy. Oklahoma City is going to tank this year. They are going to be terrible. They have so many draft picks, but they're going to ride him. He's all they got. So he's going to have majority of the shares, and I think he's going to be efficient again as he was last year.
For my top 5, I am, kind of going with the mainstream here. I'm taking Harden at number 1. He's going to go crazy, as he always does. I am not a big fan of his game personally, but from a fan perspective. It's tough to watch. It is, and I don't like him taking 40 jumpers a game. I don't enjoy him shooting 20 free throws a game. That's just not the kind of basketball I enjoy watching. Now, that said, fantasy doesn't discriminate how you get your points, no matter how that happens. So therefore, Harden's my number 1. I don't care if this guy's at fucking strip clubs till 2 a.m. If he's showing up, putting up 40 a night, I'm happy. the guy's not going to pass the ball. I saw that tweet this morning. He was already fighting with guys in practice. Like that locker room.
He was throwing balls at the rookies.
God.
That locker room is an absolute mess. But I still love James Harden to do his thing. Like that guy's, it's ISO ball city, and he's going to put up points no matter what happens. So he's my number one. My number two, D Book. My guy D Book is going to have a blow up year. I think we got that little bubble performance he had with those 7-game stretch where he just went insane. Like I think that's a little outlook to what we're going to have this year. I really do think he's going to have one of the best year of his career this year with Chris Paul addition. Chris Paul's going to take more attention away from defenders. You know, Ricky Rubio couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with his jumper, so like that didn't even threaten any defense. I think they're a much different team this year, and I actually do like D Book as my number 2 shooting guard this year. Number 3, and I'm shocked, or Jerry, you had him on your list, but I'm pretty surprised you didn't have him on yours, Ave. Donovan Mitchell. I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell guy.
I hate the Utah Jazz.
I hate the Jazz, and I think they're overrated. Don't get me wrong. I think they're overrated. I think they perform terribly in the playoffs. I do like Donovan Mitchell, though. I think he's a beast. He's going to put up points. He has a great jumper. He's athletic. He'll grab boards. He won't pass as much, but he's going to score, and I do like him as my number 3 shooting guard. Number 4, I got Bradley Beal this year. I do like Bradley Beal. I had him in, throughout the beta period when we were on OwnersBox, I had Bradley Beal in like 80% of my leagues. The guys that just puts up fantasy numbers, and I love him this year. I think the Russell Westbrook edition will help a little bit in terms of taking attention away from him. So I like, the drive kicks to him, 3 balls all day. I'm taking Bradley Beal as my number 4. My number 5. Now this one hurt a little bit because I'm a hater. I am, the guy on Twitter chirping Paul George after he hits the backboard in a 3-pointer. Like that's me. I'm that salty Lakers fan. But he's gonna have a bounce back year. He got slandered. Like I can't remember in the modern era like that I've been watching basketball where guy has gotten disrespected like Paul George. He also just got paid now, so like I guess that's not really. If he had to get paid like next year, he'd have more incentive to play better. Yeah. But I do think he has a huge bounce back year no matter what. I watched him against the Lakers in their couple preseason games. He was hitting jumpers like, I didn't see last year. So I like him at number 5. I think he'll climb that order as the year progresses. So as I said in our format, you're drafting on a weekly basis. So you'll see him climb in draft boards for sure, I believe. So that's my top 5 for shooting guards. Jer, dive into your top 5 small forwards.
So small forwards, I kind of went off the board. At number 1, I have KD, which is an obvious one.
And that was off the board.
Number 2 was Jimmy Butler. The reason why I have Jimmy Butler is because 1, the guy's a fucking dog. He pretty much plays every single game of the year, and he's a rumor swirling that he's seeing Selena Gomez. So, that adds to the resume, and I actually look into stuff like that for fantasy purposes. Number 3, LeBron James, and then Kawhi Leonard at 3-4, because LeBron James with Anthony Davis hasn't really been the fantasy performer that everyone kind of wants him to be. Everyone thinks LeBron James, you draft him first overall, but he's actually not on our system. He's very... he's getting older. He's just going to do what he's got to do to win. He's not in it. He's just in it for championships now, really. So like, if someone else has a big night, he doesn't give a shit if he doesn't have that big of a night. He's not that hungry for like points and stuff like that. Kawhi Leonard is another guy who takes a lot of rest. They're trying to cut down on that shit, but let's be honest, they could just take him out of the game if they have to. So that really hurts his fantasy wise. And then at 5, a surpriser, Andrew Wiggins. He hates he did not like playing with the Timberwolves.
On Andrew Wiggins, low key though.
You sleep on him.
Yeah, they do.
He's gonna have to play a big role on this Warriors team, and if they're gonna be good, he's gonna have to be really good. So I like Wiggins as a surpriser this year.
Watch Wiggins just go over like 40, right? And Jeremy's tripping.
Maybe I'll look at some player props for Wiggins tonight.
Wiggins, I was going to literally just say that, Jeremy. What's his point total over?
I should look that up.
I'll eat my piece of paper if Andrew Wiggins scores 40 fucking points tonight. Over my dead body will he score 40 points tonight.
I wonder what his over-under is. His
over-under is probably 12 and a half points. He's shit, dude.
Pride of Canada. No, he's slept on. Pride of Canada. Yeah. I actually like his over. We should look into that prop tonight.
Yeah, we should
ride that. But I don't hate him in your top 5. It's kind of a hot take, but I respect it for your reasoning.
Thanks. The best thing about Andrew Wiggins was his Huntington Prep hoop mixtape that I watched probably 100 times. That was the coolest thing anyone's ever fucking done. All right, going into my 5. Number 1, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, I love Kevin Durant. I love LeBron James, but fucking Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard?
He does everything. He's incredible. I mean, you don't get.
He sits on the bench half the game. Too.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's just for when he plays. I think he's a top fantasy option. Number 2, Kevin Durant. He's fucking amazing too. He shoots from everywhere on the court. He's a mobile 7-footer who can do things that like the guards can do. He can do a lot of things that the fucking big guys can do. He's just an all-around great player. Number 3, Brandon Ingram. Another great year. Pelicans have probably one of the best young cores in the league. They're going to take another step again. He was already a huge part of that offense. Maybe taking a little bit away from Zion, which kind of sucks, but I love Brandon Ingram. Number 4, LeBron James. Basically for the reason you said. He's getting older. He doesn't have to do as much anymore. He has Anthony Davis. He is like still top 5 fantasy player if he's playing every game, if he's the guy. But I have him at 4. Number 5, Chris Middleton on the Bucks.
Jeez.
Dude,
I don't like that pick.
All right.
With Holiday coming over.
Chris Middleton is fucking 100 times better than Andrew Wiggins. So you can't fucking turn me for that.
We'll see. We'll see who has the most fantasy points.
I would say 100 times better. He definitely,
Okay.
He's an all-star, but.
Yeah, Andrew Wiggins, when was he an all-star?
But I'm more saying like
Jeremy's
Andrew
not
Wiggins.
mainstream. No, I don't hate your pick. Jared, don't defend your pick. You fucking spoke your
I'm saying the
mind.
Bucks have too much talent for Chris Middleton to make a major impact every game.
Yeah, he
He's the
crashes
second
boards
best player,
though.
dude. He's the second best player.
They
on
had
the
Drew
team.
Holiday in that lineup. He's going to be good for them. I think it takes away from Middleton.
All right, and that's why he's number 5, not number 1, Jer.
Okay.
All right, for my top 5, you guys are, I don't know what you're smoking over there, what you're drinking. I know it's early, but LeBron is my number 1, and he is going to stay there until proven otherwise. This guy,
He was
man,
proven
I'm telling
last
you,
year, not number 1.
If not at the position number 1, we'll have to dive into that.
We'll
small
have to dive
forward
into
rankings.
that.
If he wasn't top 2, or if he wasn't 1, he was number 2. So I'll just leave it at that. But my guy Braun this year, man, he's still hungry. I don't know what you guys say. He's not hungry. I don't know what kind of.
No, he's hungry
garbage
for
talk that
championships,
is.
but he's not hungry for points, proving stuff. He's not like proving the doubters about
He's trying
points
to set
anymore.
every
He doesn't give a
record.
shit.
Trust me, he's gonna be balling. He's gonna be dishing out assists. We have a team
He's gonna be
around
bald,
him.
that's about it.
He might lose his hairline if there's no. You don't get minus fantasy points for losing your hairline. And he would move down my board. But all I gotta say is this guy LeBron, man, he's gonna be dishing assists. He might break his assist record he set last year.
I
That was
do
insane.
like that.
I like a lot of assists out of LeBron. I might look at a prop for him tonight. But overall, I think he's going to grab rebounds. He's going to do his thing. He's going to get blocks, all that kind of stats that play into fantasy. And I think he's going to be my number 1 this year for sure. Number 2, I think this is unanimous. KD 1-2 at this position. He's unreal. The Slim Reaper. He's looking healthy. You can't even guard him. Like even if your center was to guard the dude on the perimeter, like he'll rise.
No one's
up
quick enough.
Like no,
Only
he's
Fred
too quick.
VanVleet
He's too
can
nice.
guard him.
That jumper is like the prettiest thing I've ever seen. So KD number 2. My number 3 is Kawhi. For the reasons you guys stated, Kawhi. He's all around guy. The reason I didn't play him higher in this is because he's going to rest, and in our format, we don't like resting. So I don't think from my lineup, resting. I'm not going to, I'll be drafting him when he's available, obviously, but he won't be my top selection at this position. So that's why I have my number 3. And then my number 4 is Mr. Brandon Ingram. I like that play, and I do agree with Avery. I think Brandon Ingram, he was the focus of that offense last year, and he's only getting better. Every year he's putting up better numbers, and last year he really showed up. Obviously, best year of his career, and I think he follows it up this year with an even better performance. So yeah, I'm going to ride with him. And then obviously with Zion too, I think he'll, be mature, his game will get even better. So we're going to see a lot of action of the Pelicans this year. So BI is my number 4. And then my number 5 is my man, Jimmy Butler. I got a lot of respect for Jimmy Butler after that last, the finals last year in the bubble playoffs. I was never a huge Jimmy Butler guy with what he did in Philadelphia. Like that was kind of, when I forgot about him, I was kind of over it, but came to Miami, that culture is good. Like that's a good ball team down there. So I like Jimmy Butler this year. I think he's going to put up good numbers. So he's my number 5. That rounds that out. And then power forwards, Jared, can you dive into those? Your top 5, please.
Yeah. So obviously Giannis is my number 1, Anthony Davis, number 2, Jason Tatum, number 3, kind of a surpriser. I don't think both of you have
Why
this.
do you say surpriser? It's kind of a surprise.
Kind of a surpriser because it's a person.
We got the grammar coach out here.
Because it's a person. Surpriser. He's a surpriser. It's not he's a surprise.
I've never heard that in my whole entire life.
We'll look on the dictionary if surpriser is a word. Ben Simmons. I like him with Doc as the coach. I think he has a really good season with them as kind of changes his game up. I mean, at some point he's got to get better at shooting, right? So let's hope it's this year. And at 5, I have Zion. I'm hoping he avoids injury. I think he'll get injured again somewhere. I mean, the way he plays, he's just bound to get injured.
He's a fullback on the basketball court.
Yeah. So, but if Zion stays healthy, he's definitely up there as a top 5.
All right, here's a surpriser. Number 1, Giannis. He's incredible. I think he's better than AD, fantasy-wise. So I like him at 1. Number 2, Zion Williamson. I'm just here for all the takes. I fucking love Zion. It's awesome watching him play basketball. So I don't care. Number 3, Anthony Davis. Zion shouldn't be higher than Anthony Davis, but I'm just fucking gonna say it anyways. I don't care. Anthony Davis at number 3. It'd be a shame if he got hurt and was number 3 on this list. Number 4, Jason Tatum. I love the Celtics this year. I'm telling you. I think he takes another step. He's great in the playoffs. He's young, man. People forget he's still only like 22, but they say it all the time. Number 5, Ben Simmons. I agree. He just does everything. He's really versatile for that 4 spot. So I like him as my 5th ranked power forward.
And then for my power forwards, starting with number 1, my guy AD. You'll see a little bias as I put LeBron at number 1 for small forwards and AD for my number 1 power forwards. But I actually do believe AD is the better power forward in fantasy than Giannis. That's a hot take to say the least. But I actually do like AD. I think his game's better than Giannis's too. He actually can shoot the ball. Who knows? Giannis might come out and start draining threes this year, and I'll eat my shirt. But until then, AD is my number 1. My number 2 is Giannis. AD, Giannis, 1, 2, and pretty much anyone's board. So we're riding there except for Avery's, I guess. But we're riding that. And then my number 3 is Jason Tatum. Man just got paid. Love Tatum this year. I don't love the team, the Celtics, but I do think Jason has a huge year. He had a great year last year, so I'm thinking he follows that up again. My number 4, this is a little surpriser, I guess you could say, not on either of your boards. My guy Pascal Siakam had a shit playoff last year.
Yeah.
People, I mean, he's an all-star. He plays great D, gets rebounds, scores. I think the Raptors will be. I don't really know what to expect from the Raptors. I think they'll be a solid team, but I just don't see them going too far in the playoffs. But I do think Pascal Siakam puts up good numbers this year, so I have him on my number 4 spot. And then my number 5 spot, I don't think this is even a sleeper. I actually think this guy's going to be unreal this year. John Collins from the Hawks. The guy last year in our format was an absolute beast. Like I know only Jared played NBA, but he was insane in our format. Grabbing boards, putting up numbers. Trae Young, that team's nasty. And I actually like the Hawks this year. It's going to be fun to watch them play. And I think John Collins has a great year following up his great year last year. So he's my number 5. Jared, take us through your last top 5 centers, please.
So number 1, I mean, talking about centers, I mean, they're crucial in our game, our weekly format, especially in 8-man competitions, because you have to draft 2 centers and they start to get very thin. Yeah. Thank you, Avery. Thin near the end. So you almost think like centers are they got to be like first overall. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, because getting
that's the first or second round pick for me every time.
That's a good take. Jared, I actually completely agree with you. In our format, I usually take a power forward or a center because the rebounding, you get a point for a rebound, you get a point for an assist, you get a point for each point you score. And guys like Jokic who are going to pass the ball, who are going to grab 10 boards a game and score a ton of points. Like that guy's Jokic is a first rounder, like pretty much every draft that I've been in. He's insane. Yeah.
So I have, obviously, like we're talking about, I have the Joker at number 1. Karl-Anthony Towns, I have him at 2. I didn't draft him much during our beta period, but just looking at some of his fantasy numbers, obviously he's proven to be like a top player, like literally a top player overall in fantasy. He was top 5 last year. So he has to be up there, and he's definitely their best player now. So I think he potentially even gets even more points. I think they're going to be terrible, but he's going to get fantasy points. Andre Drummond at 3. I think he just gets a shit ton of rebounds, which I like. And then Rudy at 4. Rudy's just a solid center. I mean, he's not going to
gave the NBA COVID though.
That's why it's a revenge season, because everyone hates him, so he's going to play even better. That's what I'm predicting. And Embiid, I think he's going to be healthy this year. I think he'll have a good year. I mean, sometimes we forget like how dominant he is when he's healthy. So I see Embiid up there. At 5, I could probably see him jumping up to 3, to be honest, but I am at 5.
I do like those. That's actually a pretty good list, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll dive into my 5 here. Number 1, Karl Anthony Towns. Everyone in his family has died of COVID. It's actually incredible how many people in his family. It's really sad. It's not incredible. Sad. It's really sad.
Yeah.
So I think he's on the fucking revenge tour. It's going to wreak havoc throughout the league. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be the number 1 center. Number 2, Joel Embiid, bounce back year. I do like the Sixers as well. I had them in the conference finals and crossed them out. Fucking put the Celtics. I like Joel Embiid this year. I think he fucking gets it done. He's very good too. He's like KD but playing the 5. Jokic, number 3. As you guys stated, he can do it all. And he's just a big lad too. I like watching him play. He's fucking a little bit relatable to some of the guys here, so I like watching Jokic play. Number 4, Deandre Ayton. I think he takes another step for the Phoenix Suns. I like the Phoenix Suns, as I've said. Deandre Ayton grabs a shit ton of boards. I think Chris Paul, a little dump off down on the post there sometimes when he drives the hole. Ayton's going to have higher shares. He's very efficient already, and I think he'll score a lot more points this year. Number 5, the Stifle Tower, Rudy Gobert. That bitch. He's a very good player. Number 5. That's my list.
All right, I'm taking us home, boys, with the last grouping here. My top 5 centers. Number 1, my guy Joker. Rocher. You guys already hit on it. Top 5 overall scorer, no matter the position last year. I think this one's a no-brainer. So I have Jokic at number 1. My number 2 is Karl Anthony Towns. I wanted to put Cat at 1. I did. I really did. And not for the reason you stated, Avery. I just think he's going to have an insane year this year. I know that does play into it, and it's super sad that happened. It's terrible, but I think that will definitely fuel him up a lot more. So he's my number 2. My number 3 is Joel Embiid. Bounce back year for sure. I do like, the new coaching staff in Philly. I like the new team. I don't think they're going to go crazy in the playoffs, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about fantasy production, and that's why I have Joel at number 3. My number 4, and I should have put this – I wanted to put DeAndre ahead of Joel in my rankings because Chris Paul being the pick and roll guy he is, that he passes the ball amazingly. He's one of the best in the league at that. And Ayton's just maturing, man. You saw it last year. At the end of the year, he came on. Even in preseason against the Lakers, they had a game, and he was going off. I think his point totals go up a lot this year. He's going to grab those rebounds. He's going to play physical, get blocks, all that kind of good stuff. So I have him my number 4 this year. And then my number 5 to round it out is Bam Adebayo. I like Bam. Man got paid. I'm a Heat guy. I like the culture there. I like, obviously, Spoelstra, what they're doing. And I think he has a really, really good year to follow up what he did in the playoffs. And I think his point totals will also go up, and he's going to be a guy that grabs boards consistently. So he's my number 5.
Love it.
How did we do, boys? How do we think we did?
I think we did well. I think we all did well. I'm looking forward to starting this new wave of fantasy sports in NBA.
Yeah, I'm excited to fucking play. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and we're going to get in a draft here right after this with some of the guys on our team. But as I said, Owner's Box, NBA format, super unique, lots of strategy. You can draft any single day of the week and, get all your buddies on. You can play public and private contests as well. So you definitely get on the platform, sign up, get those bonuses going, and get in the drafts today. And let us know how it goes. Tell us about your drafts. Send us your teams. We'll chirp you back if you draft someone Rocher picked. But we'll have fun with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Look out for more NBA content on our channel. This is our first episode, but we'll be doing a ton more stuff throughout the weeks and spinning up new segments. So definitely check us out. Subscribe to us. Follow us on socials. All that kind of good stuff. And we will see you guys next time. Happy NBA season. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, head over to OwnersBox.com to sign up and play weekly fantasy sports today. Also, download our app on the iOS and Google Play stores.